Present.
Rick here. John here. Doug here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
With the tabling of 5A, please.
Table on the 5A, okay. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public input, this is the time and place for items not already on the agenda with a time limit of 3 minutes each.
We have some people here from ECOG that want to give a presentation on housing assessment.
Oh, it's on
Isn't
the
that
agenda.
what's
So it's on the agenda.
It's B.
It's 5B.
Yeah, that's what we're on.
He did public input.
Public input, yeah.
Oh, sorry. That was my fault.
All right. Now it's your turn.
That was my bad.
Usually we don't get invited before it's our time. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Time's up.
Do you have
So I'm gonna keep working on it, but yeah,
Okay.
That's okay.
it was
You
all
have a
working
printed copy?
earlier.
Yeah, we have
Everybody
printed
has a
copies,
Okay.
They do.
I think I'm printed copy, we can just go on.
Okay. So for those of you that might have been on the council for a bit, and I know Brandon was here before, Tracy Achenbach, I'm the housing director at ECOG. And then I also, as part of that job, I head up the housing fund for Linn County. And I'm just up here to give a little shtick about that because we provide funding for projects or for initiatives or organizations who are going to provide, create, or preserve housing for low to moderate income. So so some of these things that Deanna may plant the seed about, and reach out to us at ECOG if you need any administration help or anything like that. We have from our housing rehab programs that we have done here, we've done a couple of them here, that we have housing inspectors, and then we also, some of the communities that we work with have done housing rehab programs that they created with their own funds. Palo is doing a service line replacement program using their LMI set-aside funds for lower income homeowners, and we're implementing that for them. And so we do a variety of things, so don't be afraid to reach out. Anyway, and Deanna's really the smart one here, so I'm going to turn it over to her because she's the one that did this document. So thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to present the findings to you tonight. We'd also like to thank Linn County for using ARPA funds in 2022 to fund the study. You can see the assessment area for the housing study is the 14 communities listed there. Basically, it was all of the communities in Cedar Rapids, excluding Cedar Rapids.
In Linn County.
Communities in Linn County, excluding Cedar Rapids, Marion, and Hiawatha, not to duplicate housing assessments that had been done there within the last year or two. The first graph kind of gives you an overview of where Lisbon stands with population compared to the rest of Linn County. You can see kind of right there in the middle. There were some communities that experienced a big growth in population, others lost. But you were right there with a small growth spurt until 2010, and then a little bit of a slower rate from 2010 to 2020. More importantly than just looking at the population is the age distribution of your population. So we looked at the population over 65 and the population under 14 and 35 to 44 because those two together are the best statistical representation of families. And you can see that Lisbon's over 45 or over 65 population grew by 49%. And if you look at the other communities there that had a big jump in the over 65 population, those were the communities that also had a really big increase in their population, so you could expect that to happen. But Lisbon didn't have a big jump in their population during that time, so it's notable that your over 65 population jumped that much. Then the next one down, median year built, you can see again Lisbon's just right there in the middle with the median year built in 1979. Notable though, about a quarter of the houses in Lisbon were built before 1950 when house sizes were much bigger. So about a quarter of the homes in Lisbon have 4 or greater bedrooms. So there's kind of a mismatch between current population needs and the size of the housing stock. Then we did a windshield housing condition study. The graph there shows you kind of where Lisbon came up with against all of the other communities in Linn County. What that is we basically drove around in the older parts of Lisbon and the other communities and did a visual assessment of the exterior quality of the house. We rated them from good to fair, meaning they don't really need any rehab, or major repairs, and needed major repairs. That's roof, foundation issues, blistering, painting, paint peeling, windows that need to be replaced, and that sort of thing. Overall, in Linn County, about 2/3 of houses are in a good to fair condition, with about 1/3 in need of major repair. I will go over Lisbon's results here in just a few minutes. Because the report is huge, nobody likes to read housing assessments except for maybe me and maybe Tracy. We created this, the first half of the report is dedicated to housing conditions in Linn County and kind of compares the communities. Toward the second half of the report, there are pull-out sections for each of the 14 communities. So you can pull out the section that looks like this. It's 10 pages. And everything you really need to know about Lisbon is just in that section. The first page for the city of Lisbon shows some of the population demographics that we already went over, and talks about value to income, which is 2.34 right now in Lisbon. The sweet spot is 2.5. Any ratio in between 2 and 3 is considered where your homes are affordable to your current population, and also conditions are favorable for new development. The second page shows you kind of what are families and people who are looking into your community looking at. What are they considering? They want to see if there's an active community, room to be engaged, parks and recreation activities that are walking or biking distance of their home, and public schools is a big draw for families. And Lisbon is very fortunate because you have a very high-performing elementary and middle school, so that's a big draw for families. We looked at the housing market. You can see those statistics there are not from the census, they're from the Linn County assessor, so they're a little bit more accurate. It gives you an idea of how many housing units are in Lisbon, the year or decade that they were built. About 79% of the homes are owner occupied, and about 21% are renter occupied. We took a close look at housing home sales for the year of 2022. We put them in 3 categories, the first being homes priced below $170,000. About 33% of the homes in Lisbon fell into that category. Then we looked at homes priced or that sold that year between $170,000 and $255,000, and about 27% of homes fell into that category. And then we looked at homes that were priced at $255,000 and above, and about 40% of the homes that sold in 2022 were in that category. According to the National Association of Realtors, 51% of listings should be available to buyers earning $75,000 in a balanced market. That's those homes that are under $255,000. In Lisbon, 60% of homes were within that range. So that's representative of a fairly well-balanced housing market, which is good. Next, we looked at housing affordability. This graph, if you look at it, it's meant to just illustrate larger trends. We don't want you to look at this graph and think that you need to build 40 or 50, 60 homes in those price ranges. It's more to demonstrate that there is at the bottom a lack of homes that are affordable to the bottom income quartiles. The next one is cost burden by income and tenure. You can take a look at that and kind of see where renters and homeowners fall who are cost burden. Cost burden is anyone who's paying more than 30% of their income on housing. And you can see in Lisbon, about 40% of your renters are considered cost burden, meaning they're spending more than 30% of their income on rent, and about 10% of your homeowners are spending more than 30% on their mortgage. The next one is the actual housing condition survey or windshield study results for Lisbon. We found 92 homes that were in need of major repairs, and about 50% of both owner and renter occupied homes, because of their age, are potentially have a high probability of lead paint, and that is another issue that you might want to consider. The workforce profile shows that about 45% of the residents or workers in Lisbon work in educational services. That represents a good opportunity to maybe partner with the school district to do housing programs for maybe new teachers who are moving to the area. I think the statistic is that it takes about 2 to 3 times more for a new school teacher to save up the money for a down payment for a house than your average home buyer. The next is just a snapshot of zoning and land use. Gives you an idea of how much is dedicated to single-family housing and how much is dedicated to multifamily housing. And then at the end of your 10-page pullout just for Lisbon, there's what we're calling a one-pager. It boils everything down to one page. All of the data that we just talked about is there under themes, and under opportunities are things that can help you meet your housing goals based upon the data in your community. The other pull-out section in the report is the housing toolbox. If you take out the 10-pager for Lisbon, and then I think the housing toolbox is another 10 pages or so, you can pull those 2 sections out and just leave the rest of the report for other people. And those 2 sections are really all you need to get a good idea of what housing needs you need in Lisbon and what kinds of things that you can do about them. The toolbox, it's broken down into the different categories you see there to help meet those strategic housing goals that were identified by the data. And I think I just included a couple snapshots there of some of the initiatives that are in there. The housing toolbox includes some case studies. If you can look at the electronic version of the report, there are some other communities in Iowa. I think the Grundy?
27.
I can't remember the name right now. There's a link there to their YouTube that there's a population in that city of 1,000, and they've done some really amazing things in housing in their community. So it's just a really good example of even small communities can leverage resources and do big things. And again, anything in the housing toolbox that you see, ECOG and Housing Trust Fund available for technical assistance. Reach out anytime, happy to help.
So one of the things I might add is that when the county asked us to do this study for them, they had a certain price in mind, and in addition to the housing study for the more rural areas, Deanna also completed a housing equity analysis for the metro area, for Cedar Rapids, Marion, and Hiawatha. So we could not include as part of doing the housing study a public input part. So anything that we've identified is really just totally been from our point of view or based on the data. But if there's something you want to pursue that's a little, that would have more of that, we would be happy to help with that. Just let us know. But
How do we, some of our lower income people in town, how do we get them to apply for help? I mean, we tell them that we want to, whether we can help them, but they won't come to us and help them or let us help them.
I know sometimes that's been an issue. I've worked in some communities where no one applies. You guys, of course, have done a couple of owner-occupied rehab programs here, maybe even 3 in total. There's 3. So you've done some and have done some housing rehab, which is probably indicative of the results of the windshield survey that Deanna did. But it's hard to, sometimes people are motivated because they get a letter from the city that says, you know, you gotta fix this roof, or you gotta fix this, or whatever. But it's really difficult. I don't know, you know, Doug, I've met with, I should not say Doug, I should say Mayor. I have met with, or Burl's son, I could say that too. I have met with homeowners sometimes, and like especially senior ones, and they're so hesitant and they're not really sure if they want to participate because they're just not sure, they don't know. And so sometimes it's just really hard to get people to do it. I don't know. We have a couple of different, we have a Federal Home Loan Bank program that is for owner-occupied rehab. Deanna did a bang-up job of trying to get the word out when the state released that, the Housing Assistance Fund rehab program. Did you have anybody from Lisbon, you think? Apply? But, you know, we try to post things at places where people will see them, like whether it's City Hall or if there's a senior dining site or someplace like that, but
Facebook.
it's sometimes really hard to get them to do it.
I think really clearly laying out the programs so that they can see that there's a low barrier, that they don't have to jump through a lot of hurdles
Yeah.
to apply for it. because
And that's why I think a lot of them are scared.
Yes, yes,
I've
yes.
talked to kids before of seniors, you know, because they want to meet with me to know, well, what is it exactly you're thinking that my mom or my dad should do? And it's like, well, this is the way it works. And, you know, if it were my mother, I would want her to do it. And, you know, but I've had times in my 31 years, I've had times where homeowners have said, no, thanks. But most of the time, they're interested because a lot of times seniors especially will have a little bit of savings. They don't want to spend it on something they need at their house, you know, and they might be able to participate in some program. And just FYI, the Housing Trust Fund does have a pot of money for extremely low income. So these would probably be folks that are like only on Social Security and don't have anything else, homeowners, that we do have a pot of money that we can help those homeowners with things like if they have a furnace go out or they need air conditioning or, you know, if there's anything, if it's a roof leak and we need to replace a roof or something like that, we would be able to help them if they have low enough income according to our guidelines. And Nicole McAlexander from the Southeast Linn, she serves on the Housing Trust Fund Board and this is, I think, her second year of being on the board of that. So she's aware of things too through that. So reach out to her too if there's someone that you know might benefit. Maybe a conversation with her would help, you know, I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions for him? Do you know, like, Nicole down here, do they have like paperwork down here for you guys to, if people would come in there? I mean, that's where the majority of them are gonna go.
Brochures,
Right.
applications.
Right. Well, the problem is, like for our extremely, our emergency repair, she probably doesn't, because I don't know that we have a handout for it. Because part of the problem is we don't have a ton of funding, and sometimes we just sort of have to wait for people to reach out to us. But that particular program, we could actually put something there to help people know about that. The other program, we have all of the funding obligated. We did apply for another round of funding, and we'll know in December whether we got that funding. And then I think we can take applications then, but right now, the program we're in, that we're just starting, we already have all of the homeowners identified in Linn County. We offer it outside of the city limits of Cedar Rapids to all the rural communities. And I don't know if you get our posters that announce the programs, because I know we send them to all the city halls, just make sure you put them up so people can see them, and help me remember to get it to Nicole. She should really shoot me, really, because she's a board member, but anyway. I'll try and remember that, Doug. You're younger, you remember it, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Discussion and possible action on approving the city street lighting report. You got a purse down here.
Oh, I would have figured it out when I got it. But thanks, though.
Christine, you want to go over this?
Yeah, this is one of our required yearly reports from the state. This one's through the Iowa DOT. If you want to go to the summary page, all of them just kind of lead up to that. You'll see our beginning balance, grand total, and then our ending, and with having buying new equipment in 2023 and 2024, paying our bonds that come out of streets and all other expenses. We had only about a $6,000 difference. So we had a very good year for the streets department and a nice report to send to the state.
Good. Questions? Need a motion to approve the city street financial report.
So moved.
A motion to a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. Correspondence.
Two things in there tonight, both emails from residents. One is in reference to the solid waste committee. I think I advised at the last meeting I was going to throw this email in there. If that's something you want me to put together, or it sounds as though maybe we had one in the past. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes, you still do, actually.
Becky's on.
Okay.
We can't see you, but we can hear you, Becky.
Oh, I don't know why.
It's on our end, it's okay.
Oh, okay. There is still one. But there's only two of us left, and I think that we're both ready to resign. But it should be on the books. I don't know why it isn't there.
Yeah, we don't have any information on it, so we assume that it dissolved, but.
No, basically is that it was an ad hoc committee, and so we got together when we needed to, like when we needed to go out for bids for, for new contracts, that sort of thing. I mean, you've had one since, I would guess, late 80s, early 90s when Lisbon started recycling. It was Sarah Ellison was the head of it.
Okay, so I can look into that, see what that looked like before, because I think our contract is up in 28, somewhere in there. Could be wrong, but I think that's 2028 would be the end of the contract with Johnson County, so.
I think that's probably about right, yeah.
So I'll start working on that, and then the other one is just one of the summer help kids in Public Works stopped to help a citizen, and she wanted to make sure she passed along her thank you. So that's in there, and that's all I have.
I didn't hear that. What did you say about public works?
There's one of the summer help kids and a Public Works employee stopped to help a citizen that was in need of some help. So she just wrote an email to me thanking them for taking the time to help.
It's in here, but
It should be in your packet.
she was having trouble putting a bike rack on a new hitch for a van, and they helped her do it. Seeing that she was struggling, stopped and helped her. Very good. Glad to hear that.
That's it for tonight.
City engineer report.
He did not have anything tonight.
Public work.
We had a couple trees damaged with that little storm that came through that we had to take down. They were trees we were trying to nurse along from previous storms. So this one took us over the edge. We're gonna get back on painting. We started painting, like I told you last meeting. We had a pump go out of our sprayer, so we had to order that. We got that back in, so hopefully this week we're back and going. And then we're working with Drayton to get the ADA sand digger put back into the park, so hopefully end of this week, middle of next week, that'll be it.
Travis?
Are we painting yet? Painting streets?
They just got it fixed. They're gonna start. Parks and Rec.
So upcoming events, we have movie in the park August 14th, that's for Sauerkraut Days. And then along with that, we'll be doing the slow pitch tournament for the August 14th through the 17th. So concession stand helping run that tournament. Back to school night at Lisbon City Park will be August 21st from 5:30 to 7:30. We started doing this 3 or 4 years ago. It's on the same night as back to school night at the school. We provide a meal, so this year we're doing walking tacos for any families that want to come down. Then we give out a little goodie bag with some school supplies and stuff.
What date was that?
That is August 21st, 5:30 to 7:30 down at City Park. And the only other things I have is, like I've said, we have registrations for fall soccer and flag football going on right now. The deadline is August 2nd, Friday, August 2nd. Got it put up on the sign today out front, so that's pretty cool. And then the turf tank came. Striper came, turf tank. I did training on it today along with Chris Rodman. Got all my fields put into the system, so now it's pretty much just fill it with paint and click a button and let it go. So it's pretty neat. Good training today, so that's about all I have.
We have to break. Library.
I had not here from her today.
Police department.
I got nothing.
Ambulance.
Didn't hear from him either.
It's flying by, Mike. Fire chief.
The only thing is just thank you to all the guys that came down last week. We had a couple tornado warnings, and I was going to go back and look, but I think this is the most we've had in 1 year in a long time. So thankfully we haven't had any significant damage from anything, but I know sometimes they're a drawn out deal and people leave their families to come down here, and I appreciate it. So thanks to those guys. And then our breakfast is Labor Day, so we're starting to get stuff in order for that. That's all I have.
Any questions for our chief? City administrator.
So Drayton and I had a meeting with a couple of community members who had worked with some sports complexes in the area on fundraising. So they're kind of putting together some ideas to present to us for future fundraising of the multiple phases of the athletic complex out there. City Hall storm damage, they're about 30 panels shy from finishing. So you can see there's just one, I think there's just one row at the top that needs done, but they have to order the panels. So hopefully that will be sooner than later when that comes in. As most of you have probably seen, the new signs installed outside. I think it looks really nice. Grayson's going to have some of the summer help kids system tomorrow, trimming a couple branches on the tree out here so you can see it better from the north, and plus they're hanging over the sidewalk. But anyway, I'll try to, I'm right now the only one that can put messages on there, but as I get comfortable with it, I'll train some of the other staff members to do it, and just try to keep it as current as possible. If you want to see something on there, you think there's a community event that would be pertinent to put on there, just please email me or call me and we'll get it put out. Thanks to Rickards, they're giving me a bunch of logos to assist with just the overall appearance of the sign, so I think it looks really good. I'll be working with the Downtown Reinvestment Grant. I'm hopeful at the next meeting to get that presented to you for this year. Then we can put that out for the downtown businesses. We're going to plan to do the Highway 30 mowing before sauerkraut days. Also, this week, Drayton summer kids are going to do some weeding around the Lisbon signs and trimming the bushes. Last week, we also, along with the tree damage, they did some canopy work on some of the low-hanging branches over the streets, especially down Monroe. Thanks to the guys for that. And then one thing that's kind of come up, and I guess I don't know what the policy's been in the past, but the last couple of years, the History Center has come to me with applicants for people who live upstairs, since it's our building, to do a background check. So I get that background check completed to the best of my ability, and the one previous, I I told them that I didn't know what the policy was as far as what they allowed, what they didn't. I made the opinion that I would not allow this person to rent. They went ahead and let that person rent. That person has now left, and now this time they rented it out again and they didn't come to me at all. So I went back through. I don't see anything from what I can find that there's a policy stating that. So if you guys are comfortable with it, I'd like to come up with some sort of a resolution where we have that policy in place to monitor that. I think since it's our building, we should have a say in that. And if you don't think that that's correct, just let me know, and I'll not worry about it. But
Ultimately, we get what's left over when they move out. When they move out, we, the city, we definitely should be in charge of it, in my opinion.
And like Brandon said, I don't know if we've ever had anything written down where we do all that stuff. I mean, it was just kind of a courtesy that they called us and said, hey, check this person out, blah, blah, blah. I agree that we should, since it's our building.
Rick, do you know anything that was done in the past?
No, I know the only thing you can do is, always use, pay the fund to go do it, because if you send something like that to the police departments, we can't divulge that information to the.
Yeah, basically we've done it courts on, what I've been doing is courts online.
You know, just get on Iowa Courts Online and tell you why. But I think you should be, I think the city should be in charge of who rents it or not. You should
write something up and should address it.
That is all I have, other than ongoing nuisances, which seem to be multiplying by the day. Questions?
Anything, Brandon?
So are these nuisances all reoccurring people?
The grass ones is like, and some of them are vacant lots, so there's not like a door you can go.
So, just let me, I think I've got to ask you, how's it work? What do you do if I don't mow my grass?
So if I see that it's over the threshold, I call you, talk to you, work it out, see when you can get it done. So let's say if I called you today, I'd say, can you get it done by Wednesday or Thursday? And then I would post a sign on Wednesday or Thursday with the green tag on the door if it wasn't done. And I think that's a 24-hour tag to mow it, and then you can go mow it.
So Rick mows it, let's say, but then 2 weeks later, we have to do it all over again, right? I mean,
And there's one of the notorious ones are the ones that's a vacant lot. Well, other than posting on a tree, there's not much. So I call him, and he does it every time. And you know, like the last time I said, well, when you mow your real yard, the grass is probably the same height here, so come mow this one. But and then the other stuff is the nuisances for like vehicles, which I have to follow. So it's a 30-day letter, and then it's a $10 or a 10-day certified letter before you can issue the municipal infraction. So there's, I think, 9 of them pending that are probably coming up around the 30th, 28th, or 30th.
But is that per your code that you have to do that?
On the vehicles? Yeah.
So let's say the grass, let's just use the grass for example. These houses, why don't you just say, you know what, that was your one warning, it goes over a certain height, we mow it. Just do it, don't even spend time calling them up.
can we do that?
Absolutely.
I think you have to post the green tag first. One time. And then, so if they mow it, and then it's tall again, I think we have to post that tag again for that time, but you don't have to call them. I've probably gone a step further by just communicating with them, because like I said, the one that's the notorious one is a vacant lot. I'm shy of nailing it to a tree. I don't know what else to do there. So I've called him now, hopefully in the next day or so, he's been out here mowing, but I see now this week it's long again, so I'm gonna call him to do it.
I was just curious. I always put yourself in the people that, if your neighbor did that to your $400,000 or $500,000 home, I mean, what would you say? We can't keep sending them thing. You know what, you mow it, well, it must be different because down, like I said before, down in Janesville, we do it one time and that's it. We'll tell you to mow it, you ain't moved in 24 hours, we do it. In the story.
And then you go back and do it like the following week if they haven't done it.
Absolutely.
Or you post it.
And it's $200 a whack.
Do you post it per time?
You post it the second time?
Per time?
Per time. It's a certain amount per hour, per time, per hour, the minimum amount.
So if you put a sticker on their door today and they didn't do it, Wednesday you mow it.
We mow
Okay, so what about next Wednesday?
it. It's got to be a certain.
Let's say it's back to a foot tall again next Wednesday.
Mow it.
You mow it or tag it?
You don't tag it?
Nope.
Yeah, but your height threshold for the second time would be like 3 weeks probably, wouldn't it?
Well, my point was just, especially in spring, it'll probably grow like that, but.
Well, the problem is, they just want you to beg them. I mean, we've got the same people are violating this all the time. At some point, we've got to have something that says, we'll play the game one time, but the next time, if it needs mowing, you're paying. I don't know what.
I'm good with that.
So, I mean,
I'll check the code on that, but I know that the 24-hour tag is in there.
maybe it is for you guys. I don't know. Do you guys do it now? Do you guys play stags and grass?
Anybody else think different, Brandon?
Why don't you check on that with like Solon and a couple other places
I mean,
and see?
we can do however we want to.
Well, I understand, but it would be nice if it was.
I don't want to see him take his time to keep doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got better things to do than this.
Especially when you got, it's the same,
The city attorney should be able to do it through the municipal infraction section and put in an order, once you file a municipal infraction on them, they can put an order in the municipal infraction that this doesn't reoccur. That they need to maintain it going forward, and if not, I mean, it could be a civil penalty for the infraction, plus the cost of whatever the city's charging for their services.
anybody else got anything, Brandon? Do you have anything else, Brandon?
No, that's it tonight.
Christina?
I am working on the annual reports. I've finished 3 of them so far. I'm starting the annual financial now, and next week we have our annual audit. So I will be very busy this week and next.
Don't screw with you then.
Yeah, preferably, yeah.
Council, Nate?
I don't have anything today.
Mike?
Nothing.
I just want to wish the girls softball team good luck
Absolutely.
tomorrow. And,
John?
Now, the Lisbon Library has a new computer program, so if you're late with your return of a book, it'll automatically let you know. Southeast Community Center came out with their annual fiscal report compared to the years before, and most all figures are up. And the sign looks great. That's all I have.
Kevin?
Nothing.
I also thought the sign looks good and for the softball team, congratulations and good luck. I talked to Brandon, I think you said Rickards are gonna start working on those signs, those black ones.
Yeah, don't go downtown.
Hopefully they'll get those up for us, our maybe. I want to just say, I want to thank city maintenance people ahead of time right now, because like this next month is like really busy for them, trying to keep our city going and cleaning up everything for sauerkraut day, so I just want to thank you guys before I go. Well, to do that, drain, trimming some trees. One thing I asked for is trees on the parade road. That's it. Possible closed session pursuant to code, Iowa Code, Chapter 21.5J, to discuss possible purchase, sale of real estate property. Motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
The motion to go into closed session, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Closed session.